listening to The Metro on 101.9 WDET. I'm Kerry Jr. II. Sam Tallent is an entertainer who has spent 2 decades on the stage as a musician and comedian. He's also the author of a book called Running the Light, and he's the co-host of the podcast Chubby Behemoth. And you can catch him this week at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. It's Thursday, October 16th through Saturday, October 18th. He joins me in studio now to talk all about his work and his life. Sam, welcome back to the Metro.
Kerry, you're a pro, bro. That was good.
Intro, Sam.
That was as smooth as a velvet glove.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good, man. I want to say shout out to my Uncle Bob real quick. He's listening out in Dearborn right now.
Okay,
this is a big
Uncle
moment
Bob.
for him. Yeah.
Awesome. So now you are originally from Colorado, was
Yes,
that right?
sir, yeah.
Okay, when did you come to Detroit?
My
How did you get
beautiful
here?
wife.
Okay, med school, right?
It's the same reason that like anything good's happened to me the last 15 years. It's because my wife.
Shout out to the wife as well.
Yeah. She's from Dearborn.
Okay.
We have a niece out there, and she's kind of rewired our brains around what's important. So we moved here last May, and I'm super stoked to be in the city.
Can I ask how you two met?
Yeah, we met at a house party, dude.
Oh, nice.
She was. I went to see. Here's why you have to support weirdo art.
Okay.
Young people. Because I'd been doing stand-up, and my friend invited me to his like strange black box theater production, and I'd been saying no for about 3 years at this point, and then we finally went, and afterward we went to like a theater party, and she was standing on a porch, single lit by a bulb overhead, and I was struck, dude. It was like all the fibers in my body became electric, and then here we are 15 years later.
And she's reframed kind of what matters, you said, what matters most.
She's defined the borders of my reality.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Well, like as a young man, like doing music and comedy, I was just like this amorphous blob. Like I was just like responding to light and stimuli, like a protozoa.
Okay.
And then she came along and kind of gave me a petri dish to explore this bacteria that was me. And now we've created this beautiful mold together, and we're very, very viral. And people shouldn't breathe this in.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got the room to really be yourself. You've been touring for a minute now, too, and she went to med school, is that correct?
She went to med school, and now she's a doctor in Detroit
that's
at a
what's
hospital. I'm not going to say exactly which one
Yeah, you don't have
because
to
she's
tell
scared.
That's fair.
Yeah, but
People love comedy, but people also have their own critiques of comedy as well.
Well, it's just weird when you get like someone's family involved or like you post someone's home address on Reddit. Like that's when
Right.
she's like, "Oh, this is scary, buddy," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is. Don't worry, we're safe."
So how did you develop your comedic instincts here?
My family was funny. My dad, my mom.
They were jokesters? They were...
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom was like this very serious woman with a dark, awful sense of humor. And then my dad was like mooning people at the bank.
Oh, wow.
So I had like both
Yeah.
of these Venn diagrams that I got to prosper in the middle of.
And how did you get into it initially? Did you just start touring because you wanted to?
You know, I always wanted to be like a improv guy, like Second
Okay.
City. And then I did improv, and then like in improv classes, and then eventually in improv productions, you're kind of, the only impediment to your success is the other people in your group. Like you're hamstrung by like their creativity and how
Right.
far they're willing to go. So I tried stand-up once at like in college, and then I was like, well, there's no one else up here. It's kind of like wrestling versus football. And I liked the fact that if I failed, it was all on
you.
me. Yeah, there was no one else to pass the buck to. And I kind of like that, especially when you're 18, you're all ego, and you're like, I'm a man, damn it.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
I have important opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got to talk to you about why your hair's stupid. Yeah, that was a lot of that kind of stuff.
Is that the strategic, I guess, or comedic skill difference between the two? Because I've always noticed that there are people who are like good at acting in comedy,
Yeah.
but not always the best with actual stand-up.
Sure.
What's the difference there?
I think that stand-up is for psychopaths, and acting is for people who like to hang out in groups. I think that when it comes to specifically like improv and sketch performers in comedy, those people know how to collaborate. They know how to listen. They know how to yes and. They know how to make you look good at instead of themselves. They don't go for the joke. Whereas like comics are like, I don't know. There's a singularity to comedy that's very lonely, especially when you're on the road early on. And I think when you are like alone for so long, chasing this impossible dream, you can really give in to like the creature comforts and the pleasures at your disposal. Whereas improv people are like in a class, they're in a classroom, they're goofing around, they're doing funny voices. Like it's a lot more fun for sure compared to stand-up.
This might just be the journalism brain, the fact that we always have to work on teams. But I've always found that, yes, my individual inspiration and approach is great, but it's always been, and at least in my experience, it's always been beneficial to have like other people weigh in and say things about it and comment on it. Do you find places for that in stand-up, given it's such a solo medium? Or do you like just being like, hey, this is my set, this is my thing, I'm going to stick to it?
Carrie, excellent question. Excellent question. I think that the collaborative process in stand-up is with the crowd.
Okay. Oh.
You know what I mean? Because like you can't practice stand-up comedy. It's one of the few crafts you can't practice unless you're doing it live.
Right.
Because you can do it in a mirror with a hairbrush in your hand and like get the beats and the words out, but like until you give the idea to the people who are to laugh or to not laugh, you don't know if it's good or bad. So the beauty of stand-up is you know if you're doing well second by second, moment by moment, minute by minute. Like you're constantly aware of like every aspect of feedback you're giving, whether it's this side of the room isn't laughing as hard as this side of the room, or there's someone in the front who's wasted and they're like annoying the people in this pod. So like there's all these like little triage moments in an hour of stand-up that are like real and they're pure and they're visceral. But as far as like the writing of the stuff, that's a complete like monk type thing. I write on stage. A lot of people write in a notebook and then they present their ideas because they have good ideas. I'm just trying to entertain people for an hour, you know?
Yeah. You're listening to The Metro on 1019 WDET. I'm Carrie Jr. II. My guest is comedian Sam Tallent, and he's performing at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, October 16th through the 18th. Sam, what you described there, I don't know if this is exactly what you're talking about,
Sure.
but I immediately think of crowd work. How much of your sets are crowd work? How much of it is kind of stuff you've already pre-prepared?
Man, I kind of loathe the term crowd work because all the clips we see on Instagram, like it is the appropriate term. You're not wrong.
It is the viralness of the crowd work that gets comedians, I guess,
And like
popular nowadays.
what I don't like is when the people in the crowd are concerned with appearing in the crowd work clip. Because people who go to comedy clubs now are aware that there's a possibility that I might wind up online and my face will be viral. And like, if I say the dumb thing, now 3 million people are going to know that I'm the idiot who was there in Cincinnati at this person's show.
Interesting.
So now there's this like, I don't know, hesitation. Whereas back in the day before people were filming anything, it was a real moment. You could say whatever you wanted. People could go crazy. You know, it was like this big, like kind of like, hey, no one's around, so 90 minutes, let's have as much fun as possible. And I literally see the people in the front row now kind of like you talk to them and it's like this culture of fear. And I don't do the clips. I think that's embarrassing. That's why I don't sell as many tickets as my friends, because I have this idea of integrity, which is old and strange. But yeah, I don't like the crowd work aspect because what it's done to the crowd. I don't mind anyone trying to get their stuff out there, and the virality rewards them, but like...
There's an intimacy, it sounds like you're saying, with each stand-up performance live in person that you don't really get when you have it videotaped and it's gone
It's
everywhere.
a real thing, man. It's live. So few things in this world have any like actual vibrancy or nutrition. I think stand-up, good or bad, is like a live event. And it's in a small room and the ceilings are low and the lights are dark and you can just kind of sit there and laugh. I mean, I really do think that there's a lot of cool stuff about stand-up. And there's a lot of bad stuff about stand-up too.
To some of that stuff, the uncomfortable parts, I'm curious about. You talked about how you can't really get better at doing it unless you're doing it. That means that there had to be times where you were doing it and it did not go well.
Oh,
I'm
horrifically.
sure you've had some bomb moments.
Ego death, Carrie.
Is there one that you can say appropriately on public radio that happened where it was like, oh man, I got to get it together or else this future is bleak?
Well... The future is bleak. That could be a name of an album for sure.
Of a career. Oh, geez.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Vegas for 2 years. My wife was in med school in Vegas, and like I had this show at the Guys and Dolls Cabaret at Planet Hollywood, and I was like hosting kind of like a burlesque thing where there was like Tana the tattooed lady would come out and do a very nice kind of like striptease, and then a woman at the end would come out and shoot a bow and arrow with her feet, and I had to fill the time in between.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would go out and do 20, 25, bring on Tana, come back and do 15, bring on the bow and arrow lady. And they were both like tenured, great professionals at Vegas. Anyway, I go out there one night and I'm at 5 minutes in, no one's laughing, and a guy in the front row raises his hand. And I was like, yes, sir, what's up? And he's like, you are ruining my wife's birthday. And I was like, what? And then the spotlight hits a woman whose hands are on her face, and she's like visibly crying. And I was like, what's going on? And he's like, my wife, you've ruined her birthday. And I was like, well, everyone else is having fun, right? bone-chilling silence. Not a single, bit of reinforcement. So then I struggled through another 7, and he's like, enough! No more of you!
The audience.
Yeah, the guy in the front row. No more of you! And I was like, all right, man. So I bail like 8 minutes early.
Ugh.
But when I bail, and I'm like, all right, everyone, Tana the tattooed lady, she's a Vegas professional. She knows to the second when she's due on stage. She doesn't have her makeup on. So I just stand there for like 8 minutes being like, she's coming, folks. She'll be out here any moment. Don't worry. Finally, she comes out. She's upset. I go in the back. I'm sweating. I come back on, and the man's like, you promised no more of you.
We don't want any more.
We have established that you are bad. And I had to do another 10 minutes.
Oh.
And then I have to hold the target for the lady to shoot with the bow and arrow.
Oh, man.
So it's just this like long, dark night of the soul. And I got off stage and I called my wife and I was like, hey, baby, I think I might want to become a teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
This may not be the thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you picked yourself up after that and kept pushing.
It's the only, I'm in too deep. It's sunk cost fallacy. There's no start over for me, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Fair.
What else am I going to do? I don't have any skills. Yeah.
Well, you are a writer.
I'm a writer, yeah.
Before we go away, I wanted to mention a little bit of your book. Just talk a
Sure.
little bit about what was inspiring about this. Running the Light is about a stand-up comedian, Billy Ray, right?
Billy Ray Schaefer, yeah.
Who was really going through a tough time. And I believe he leans on comedy to kind of get through it. What inspired that story?
So this book is about like a comic doing 7 days in the Southwest.
Okay.
And I did every show in the book. Like I've done all these shows, all these bad shows in the mountain time zones where I cut my teeth. And I was living in Vegas and I was kind of widowed by my wife at med school and it was too hot to physically go outside. Like I couldn't go to the park and smoke a joint and read a book because it's 120 degrees. So I was just at the writing because I love reading and I always like aspired to write. And then that book came out of me in like 8 months. And it's kind of like the horror story. It's like everything I fear turning into is this guy who's lost himself to cocaine and excess and he's not a good husband or father and like the road, man. The road ate him alive. And there's so many people out there that they'll never get their moment. And they're super funny and they're super competent and they got it. They just never get their, the industry doesn't shine their light on them. And this guy is just like, he's everything that I think most comics fear turning into.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't been able to get all the way through
brought
the
you
book.
one,
You brought me a
luckily.
copy. I guess this might be a spoiler. You don't have to share if you don't want. But
Sure.
I'm curious to know, like, does he lean on comedy and does comedy help him out?
I think that the idea is no. I don't think it helps him out. I think
Okay.
that it's the only thing he's good at anymore. Like he still can do comedy inebriated because it's muscle memory. Like I've seen these people on stage in Wyoming and they're on benzos and they've drank a gallon of Jack Daniels, but that hour they're electric and it's like their brain just snaps in and they can still do it. And that's this kind of guy. I don't know if comedy's helped him. I think it's given him everything in his life, good and bad. And now he's in a situation where he kind of needs to weigh what the rest of his existence will be.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm interested.
It's
I'm gonna
heavy,
have
dude.
to-
It's
yeah.
not light romp. It's
Sure.
like I think it's very bleak.
I know now where to put it in my
Yeah.
like queue of books to read.
Sure.
When I'm ready for something that's going to take me to that
When you want to
place.
be sad and like also like inspired, I think my book is a good place for it.
All right, I get
And then
it.
you should read like less after it or something, like a nice
Something
book,
fun,
like a
something
romp.
bright.
Yeah,
Sure, absolutely. Comedy, it appears to be one of the toughest art forms. At least that's how I feel about it. And that's because what makes something or someone funny is so subjective. I'm curious from you, like, how do you develop your feelings for what's considered to be kind of funny for an audience?
Well, I think that like I had an idea of like a sense of humor that was molded by my family and friends growing up. But then you are confronted by the, I don't know, everyone has their idea of what comedy is.
Yeah.
And when they come to a comedy club and they're not, early on, they're not going to see you. They're just going to see a comedy show at the
Right.
Looney Bin in Wichita. And you're the guy that weekend. So you kind of have to learn how to entertain a bunch of people who A, don't know who you are, B, are mad that they don't know who you are, C, spend $80 for the privilege of being entertained by someone they don't know who is. Once you can break them down, then you can kind of like, I think, do comedy anywhere. So like, I'm not smart on stage. I don't care if anyone thinks I've ever read a book. I just want them to like devolve and maybe throw up from laughter for an hour. And that's my goal. I don't think it's an art form. I think it's a craft. Yeah.
It's a craft, not an art form. I have more questions about that. We don't have time to get
Sure,
to
dude,
that, though,
Gary,
but
this
it
was a
just means that
blast.
we got to have you back on, Sam.
I live here, and I'm a huge fan of WDT. And if you guys ever need anyone, you come for me, all right?
We appreciate your time, Sam.
Thank you.
Sam Tallent is a comedian, author, and podcaster. You can catch his stand-up October 16th through the 18th at Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle in Royal Oak. Once again, Sam, thanks so much for coming by.
A pleasure. Thank you.
something fun to do this weekend coming up. It is the Elmwood Cemetery in Detroit. We'll hear about that next on the Metro.